Hey everyone, welcome to a thrifting haul. It's a smaller thrifting haul compared to my ones recently. I'm just gonna move you a little closer. So I got let's see, I got one DVD, five Blu-rays, two CDs, three vinyl records, and a partridge in a pear tree. Sometimes I want to swear on my channel, but I don't. I don't know. I think like maybe people who are swear a lot and are more like edgy get more views, but I guess I'm like PG, I guess like some other people. But anyway, the first thing I got was this really cool toy. I believe his name is Gigan. He's from the Godzilla franchise. This is the 2020 version from what my research tells me, based on a 2004, I think, movie or original action figure. You Godzilla fanatics can tell me, but I pick these up whenever I see them just because I really like them. And I think I had mentioned in previous videos that I like to draw pictures, and a lot of my pictures are monsters and science fiction and things like that. So I put these on my shelf, and when I'm drawing, I look over at them, and it gives me inspiration. So, Gigan, I paid, I think, $4.99 for him. He's in pretty nice shape. I think there's a few little wear marks on him, but overall, I think he's in pretty good shape. And I looked him up on eBay, and he seems to go for about $40, $50. I can't remember if that's loose or in package, but, you know, not that I'm reselling them, or I'm not a reseller, but it is kind of cool sometimes when you find stuff and then you kind of wonder, like, oh, is this like actually valuable if you find it for cheap? Speaking of finding things for cheap, my first thing up is a vinyl record, and that is Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells. Tubular Bells, kids. So the deal with this record is that I'm not like, I like Mike Oldfield, and of course this is probably his best known record, because it has the whatchamacallit, the I don't know, it's like the music from The Exorcist or something, some horror movie. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I'm cool like all these other hipsters, but I guess it's just Tubular Bells side A and side B. See, that's how uncool I am. But side one, yeah, it's got that. Yeah, I think it's The Exorcist, right? I can't even think of the song now, but this is one that I had the CD and I got rid of it because I just didn't listen to it a lot. But I have been wanting a copy on vinyl for whatever reason. Now I sound like a hipster. I even had my friend Tyler offer to pick one up for me a couple months ago, and I was like, I don't know if I'd listen to it. I found this for $2.99 at the Value Village, so it's in pretty nice shape. I decided to grab it. I believe this is an original pressing from Virgin Records in glorious stereophonic sound, and it has this cool inner sleeve with a bunch of other albums advertised. A really nice, like, there's some ASMR for you. Look, there's some Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I just noticed that. But yeah, I've been wanting to add this back to my collection, and I'm happy I did. I put it on the other day. This is a record I have not listened to a lot, to be honest, but I did quite enjoy it. Actually, side B, I actually kind of like better. Now I'm really sounding like a cool kid. It's like, yeah, Jaws 2 is better than Jaws 1. Fight me. But yeah, added this to the collection. Happy I did. Popped it on the other morning when I was having my coffee. Lovely. But yeah, side 2 is very, like, quite a bit more meditative for me. It's very, very chill. And then the next two records that I got were both from an old favorite of mine, and that is the one and only Sir Billy Idol. Well, he's not actually a sir to my knowledge, but I picked up his debut album from 1982, which of course features White Wedding Part 1, Dancing with Myself, Guys, this was when I was like 12, 13. This was my world, this record. I had this on cassette. I got it at Woolco when I first moved to Fredericton, New Brunswick. In the old Regent Mall, when the Regent Mall was just starting up. My parents took us over there one evening after we first moved there. And I got this from a cassette table, you know, a table of cassettes. And I had saved up my allowance and I got this. I had seen White Wedding video on TV and I was just obsessed with Billy Idol. And so this was a cool edition. It's a little, you can see the cover is torn right above his eye, which is kind of a drag, but I played the record the other day. Plays great. Inner sleeve, not really sure what's going on there. Back sleeve, completely red. I was really torn because there was 2 pressings of this album at the shop I grabbed it from. I think maybe the other pressing was like an original pressing. It has a different cover image. It's more of like Billy Idol. I think he's wearing like a red vest and he's looking a little more like surprised on the cover. I almost grabbed that, but I thought, nah, to me this is like the classic. And then I grabbed Billy Idol Rebel Yell. And yeah, I've just been listening to these CDs in the car a lot, and I was like, I gotta have the vinyl. My routine is I listen to a lot of CDs in the car when I'm driving, but when I'm at home, I pop on some vinyl and just chill out in my old lazy boy chair and sip some coffee and just listen to some classic tunes. There's the inside sleeve. I actually got this. So it's almost a year ago I saw Billy Idol in concert with opening act Platinum Blonde, and I got this on a t-shirt at the concert, so real cool. And yeah, I've just been kind of in a bit of a Billy Idol phase recently. But like I said, guys, growing up, Billy Idol was my dude. And, you know, a lot of people think it sounds strange, but when I first got into punk in like 83, 84, I got the Sex Pistols and from the library, public library. Yeah, I'm that old. And I was a dedicated Sex Pistols fan as far as my punk listening goes, and then I started getting like rock magazines, and if I saw Billy Idol on the cover of a rock magazine, I would grab it. And then I learned about Generation X, which was his band before he went solo. And so for me, growing up, my early punk was Generation X, Sex Pistols, Billy Idol. Apparently a lot of the kids growing up, they got into Ramones first. I didn't know the Ramones at all. Like, I think maybe I saw like Psychotherapy video on like one of the, you know, heavy metal punk kind of like hour-long video clip shows, and I thought the Ramones were real goofy. Like I was like, Sex Pistols were so nihilistic. Generation X was a little more like that extension of like the Who and the Beatles and that kind of era. Not to say they were like super positive or hippy dippy, but they sort of seemed to me like they grew out of that a bit. And I was a big Beatles fan as a young person, like before I hit my teenage years. So naturally, Billy Idol was just one of my all-time favorites then. And I saw him in January of '84 with opening act Platinum Blonde, coincidentally, who couldn't make that show because of a disastrous snowstorm, and their truck went off the road. But Billy Idol, gosh darn it, he still managed to get to the stage. And that was my first concert, January of '84. Flash forward 40 years later, and I get to see Platinum Blonde actually open for Billy Idol last summer, and it was amazing. And I was, you know, pumping my fist and singing along. My sister was with me. She probably thought I was completely loony, but that was like, to me, it's like, it's not going to get better than this in my lifetime anyway. So, wild times. The next 2 things I got up were compact discs. First thing up is from Columbia Legacy, Roots and Blues Contemporary Blues Masters Series. I got Son House, Father of the Delta Blues, the complete 1965 sessions. This is a 2-disc set. It's one of those 2-disc ones. And you may be saying to yourself, who's Son House? Well, he was the guy that did Death Letter and John the Revelator. Those are probably the two best known ones that I know of. And I believe, what's his name? Jack White did some covers. I think Tom Waits did a John the Revelator cover a couple of years ago, which was really good. But yeah, I picked this up for $1. It's a great little collection. I haven't actually listened to it yet, but I do love me some Son House. Didn't have any Son House in my music collection prior to this, so glad to add this to my collection. Gonna check that out. And then the other one I got is for all you maritime music nerds, and this is Cinnamon Toast Records compilation Trim Crusts If Desired. So if you didn't grow up in the Maritimes in the 90s, jog on. But this has Hardship Post, Quahogs, Boobie's Skull, Screech, Jail, Leonard Conan, Rebecca West, Thrush Hermit, featuring Joel Plaskett, Plum Tree, Eric's Trip, Shetty Camp, Les Glutons, did I say Jail? Yeah, I said Jail. Strawberry. This is if you were around in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick in 93, 94, this was your jam. I picked this up for $1 as well. And it's not that I'll probably listen to this super a lot, but these things are becoming more and more rare as that when I go thrifting. And if I do find them, they jack the prices up on them. So I just decided to grab this for posterity and also for listening, of course. It has some cool little art inside, a short history of toast. But yeah, this was my young 20s, my early 20s right here. My band opened for Eric's Trip once, maybe twice. And then, of course, I saw most of these bands, I think. To me, Hardship Post, I love the album Mood Ring. If you go on YouTube, I think you can find that. It's their demo. If you like early Nirvana, go check out Hardship Post Mood Ring demo. It's so good. I don't know if that ever got reissued on CD, but wow, it's so good. Eric's Trip is on here doing a cover of Sloan's Laying Blame. This is excellent. I'm kind of excited to listen to that. So I'll probably pop that on in the car soon-ish. And then the next things I got were Blu-rays. Actually, one of them is a brand new Blu-ray. I haven't done that in a while. So recently I've been going to my SPCA thrift store. All of their CDs are $1. All of their Blu-rays and DVDs are $1, and it's so fine. And the other day, yesterday, I went with my niece. As some of you know, I'm her caregiver during the week. She lives with special needs. And whenever I take her with me thrifting, if we see some cool kids movies, I'll ask her, this one, she'll point at it and say that one. I don't know if she knows these ones already, but I decided to add them. They are also upgrades for me. I grabbed Frankenweenie and Coraline. $1 each. And I'm not afraid to add those for $1. People, there's a great YouTube channel called Phil with a double L, I think it's called. And this person does a lot of videos talking about collecting as kind of like a potential like hoarding kind of problem. And I've been watching a lot of Phil with a double L videos, and he talks a lot about because I am kind of getting to that point where I'm like, I think I might be having too many movies in my collection, and maybe feeling a little overwhelmed. So I am being a little more mindful with stuff, and if I can find stuff for $1 or 50 cents, I'm like, yeah, no problem. But it's becoming a problem, and I'm just being more mindful of that. I'm just throwing that out there. So if you're out there watching and you're also a movie collector, go check out Phil with the double L YouTube channel, because he does some really good. I think he's an excellent person that exists in our community, if I can call it that. Just because he does acknowledge that, okay, we don't need to buy everything. We don't need every movie in our collection. And certainly over the last 5 years since I really started collecting seriously, it's like I'm having those conversations with myself. And so the last couple days, it's like I've been really asking myself, okay, do you need that? Okay, I have both of these movies in my collection already on DVD, but the Blu-rays do look better, in my opinion. And actually, no, that's not true. I don't have Frankenweenie in my collection. I always get this mixed up with Paranorman for some reason. But I did want to have this in my collection because I do actually really like this movie. This is I would say, an ex-rental. It's the DVD Blu-ray collection. This has a lot of extra features on it. It also has an all-new Frankenweenie short. Oh, yeah, I think I saw that. Captain Sparky versus the Flying Saucers. But yeah, I really like this movie. It's so cute. When I'm feeling little or just wanting to chill out and have a quiet time and relax and turn my brain off and just yeah, have some little time, I put on this one. It makes me feel really cozy. Fall is just around the corner, so Frankenweenie will definitely be a rewatch. Coraline, I've always really liked Coraline. I do have this on a double feature with Paranorman, so I will be wanting to upgrade the Paranorman to Blu-ray as well. But I guess where I was going with that thought is I'd like to sort of upgrade my DVDs to Blu-ray where I can, and just generally kind of slow down on my buying because it's getting a little crazy. This edition actually has the 3D glasses in it, and they're still sealed. So I guess this must have a 3D version of Coraline. I don't really know. But yeah, if you like those kind of cozy kind of kids fantasy horror, not horror, but like mystery, I guess they're like gateway movies for kids to get into horror movies. But yeah, I really like these movies, so happy to add them to my collection for $1. And this has an advertisement for $9. Remember that one, guys? I remember my son really liked that one. That's from producer Tim Burton. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is with the 3D glasses. You guys can tell me if maybe there's a 3D version. I don't seem to see it on the back here, but there's deleted scenes, the making of Coraline, voicing the characters, creepy Coraline. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I've never watched it in 3D. It doesn't say anything about 3D on it, but anyway, happy to add that to my collection on Blu-ray. This is one I didn't have in my collection, but I do really enjoy the Family Guy Star Wars rips. This is something something Dark Side, or sorry, yeah, something 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 Dark Side. It's the Empire Strikes Back rip or parody. I do remember really liking these ones. I think they're quite funny. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, so I'm not a big Family Guy fanatic. I've seen some of it I like, but I thought these ones were really funny at that. The next one I've never seen. It's Ryan Reynolds in a film called Buried. This is from director Rodrigo Cortez. It's a brilliantly twisted suspense thriller, says Scott Mantz of Access Hollywood. I don't know anything about this, but I feel like I've heard, wow, a lot of my ones I got were double discs. I guess this is the DVD Blu-ray combo. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. It says beyond intense, claustrophobic, suspenseful, and just plain awesome. Crazy good thriller. Terrifically terrifying. So I'll check it out at some point. I do like Ryan Reynolds. He's Canadian, of course. And then the final Blu-ray I got, which is a brand new one, Final Destination Bloodlines. I could not believe this was already on Blu-ray. I feel like this movie was just in theaters. So yeah, I decided to grab this. It came out on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. Watched it. It was pretty good. Pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like all the Final Destination movies. I just find they're a good, like, turn off my brain, just roll with it. They're good little thriller horror movies. Lots of good kills. This one has a particularly nasty one in a garbage truck, which I will not tell you any more about. But the garbage truck thing honestly was always a fear of mine. Like I always thought, oh my god, that's just scares the shit out of me. Like no, I'm not even gonna lie, it freaks me out. And this movie had it, and it was really upsetting to watch. But yeah, if you like these movies, guys, this is, there's nothing super new in this. It's just a newer take on the Final Destination franchise, much like Scream 6 and Scream 5 and 6, kind of. Just an updated version of the OGs. But this one has some cool. The opening sequence alone, guys, check it out for the special effects. Were so unbelievable. The opening is set in the 60s with a brand new restaurant at the top of a tower, rotating. Wow, the visual effects in that were unbelievably good, and it looked so nice on Blu-ray on my 4K TV. Just looked so nice, and yeah, so I'd recommend this if you love the Final Destination movies. You probably like this one. Actually, the restaurant's right there. I was afraid I was giving something away, but it's actually right there. So, as you guys may or may not know, if you've never seen these movies, the opening sequence usually is like the indicator of like, okay, this is gonna tie all of these deaths together and kind of like create this story. This was Tony Todd's last film appearance before he passed away. Rest in peace, Tony Todd, a horror movie legend. And he was in this for a few minutes. I thought he did great. I think somebody said that he was able to improvise his last few lines in the film, and they were really, like, it was really touching. But I'm not going to get all gushy about it. I mean, but it was really nice. And Tony Todd was, right up until his last days was still, I believe he was still doing conventions and stuff, signing pictures, getting photos taken with fans and stuff like that. So rest in peace, Tony Todd. On that note, before I go to the last movie I got, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. That was really sad to hear. Of course, he just did his last gig about 3 weeks ago with Black Sabbath, their farewell show. And obviously, I mean, I didn't know he was that bad. I mean, I knew he wasn't great. I think he had Parkinson's, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess I kind of grew up with Ozzy a bit. If I'm being totally transparent here, because I don't want you to think I'm some cool kid, but like, I remember seeing Ozzy videos in the like early 80s, and honestly, it kind of freaked me out. That was before I got into metal, really. I knew, like, I liked Twisted Sister and Rat and Motley Crue, but Ozzy to me seemed like it was like he was like actually dangerous and actually like scary. Bark at the Moon and that stuff really like kind of weirded me out when I was a teenager, like an early teen, like 12, 13, 14. And then I heard when No More Tears came out, I was like, oh, this is a heavy tune. And that's kind of where I kind of got into Ozzy a bit. I got into Black Sabbath before I got into his solo stuff. So like late 80, 87, 88, kids my age who were really into punk rock started getting into Black Sabbath. And so I heard some Black Sabbath and thought it was pretty cool. And I remember, I think it was summer of 89, my parents took me on vacation to Maine in the United States, because that's where we would just frequently vacation. I got the first Led Zeppelin tape, the Jimi Hendrix Are You Experience, and I got Black Sabbath, the one with the witch on the cover, and as I self-titled, I guess. And that was the first time I really heard Black Sabbath. I put my headphones on, you heard that rain and the bell, and then and I was sold. And then it was years later, I guess, when I was playing in a band with some friends. Shout out to John Merzero, who had a copy of Master of Reality, and he lent it to me as a CD, and then I was like, okay, I'm locked in for life. And so I've always been a Black Sabbath fan, and I have most of their albums, 70s. I don't have a lot of 80s or 90s Black Sabbath, but I'm definitely a big 70s fan. The first album, Paranoid, Master of Reality, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And then I've got a couple of like best of CDs. But yeah, those are the ones I go to. Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, for sure is one that I revisit fairly often. So yeah, I was really sad to hear about Ozzy passing, but also, he was in his, I think, mid 70s, or edging towards his late 70s, 76 or 77, I think. So, he had a full life. He loved music, obviously, you could tell. Even right up until his last show, he was still like putting his hands up and getting the crowd going. And so, wow, what a legacy. And so this year so far is kind of sucking David Lynch in January, and now Ozzy. My heroes are dying, and that sucks. But I was just talking to a fellow Rush fan, and we were talking about 2020 when we lost Neil Peart and Eddie Van Halen, and I said how sucky 2020 was. 2025, not that great either so far, but anyway, rest in peace, Ozzy. I'll probably be listening to your music till I can't. And to all my fellow Ozzy fans and Black Sabbath fans, shout out to you. And just, it was cool the other day. I was out and about thrifting, and a van drove by in the parking lot. And it was some cool rocker blasting some Ozzy Osbourne. I think it was the I Don't Know song. And I was just like, I contemplated driving around that day and blasting some Ozzy just for the sake of it. But it's cool to know that there's some other people out there remembering Ozzy. And anyway, big loss for the metal community. But, I have not checked out the Back to the Beginning concert. There's a lot of footage floating around on YouTube. I've been meaning to go check out some more, but I guess I'll have to now. The last movie I got, guys, is a DVD. It's Richard E. Grant and Rachel Ward in How to Get Ahead in Advertising. And again, just going back to the topic of slowing down on my purchasing and being more mindful of what I pick up. But this is one, I think I've only ever heard about this movie. I don't think I've actually ever seen this movie. But it's about a young advertising executive who can't come up with a slogan to sell a revolutionary new pimple cream. His obsessive worrying affects not only his relationship with his wife, his friends, and his boss, but also his own body. Graphically demonstrated when he grows a large stress-related boil on his shoulder. But when the boil grows eyes and a mouth and starts talking, our main character, Bagley, really begins to think he's lost his mind. But has he? ? So yeah, this is definitely like one of those like cult classics. So I'll be popping this in soon. This was directed by Bruce Robinson. I don't know much else about this movie, but I'm going to check it out. I'm sure some of you out there have seen this and can leave comments. Guys, that's it for today. That's my little thrifting haul. Not a massive one today, but some cool pickups. Some Billy Idol vinyl, some Sunhouse compact discs. We got some cool kids movies, Frank and Weenie, Coraline, and some odds and ends. And I also got this cool Gigan action figure, or I don't know, do they call them action figures or just like a model? But yeah, he's really cool. Happy to add that to my little toy shelf. I don't have a lot of toys. I've got a few, but cool to add that. Let me know in the comments below if any of these things are your favorite things or things you're looking for, or let me know what cool things you've picked up recently. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider giving me the thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Canadians, support each other, support your communities. I've been really disheartened with people this week. I've had a few people say some kind of derogatory remarks to me. I had a person not almost, but just come really close to, in the parking lot, to being close to me and my niece, who walks very slowly because she has a disability. And I had people like throwing up their hands and yelling because we weren't walking fast enough. Piss off, really. And it's like, I just can't believe that behavior of people. It's almost like I don't want to go out. I know I've said that before, but it's just like, man, really? Just people are so disappointing lately. So, take care of yourselves out there, and especially take care of people with disabilities. Take care of people in your indigenous community, in your LGBTQ plus community, people of color community, newcomers. Like, you know, it's ridiculous how people are behaving lately. I'm really getting tired of it. And I like going thrifting, and I like going and grabbing a movie once in a while at Walmart, but it's like, it's so discouraging to go out and see that kind of shit. So I'm sorry for using profanity. I really am, but it's like, God, people. And the driving, the way people drive. I've only been driving for 5 years now. I got my license when I was 34. I've always been a late bloomer, but I only got my actual first car when I turned 50, and that was a hand-me-down from my grandmother. So I've only actually been driving for 5 years, and during the pandemic, of course, driving was very quiet. Now it seems people are coming back, and people are being really risky with their driving behaviors, and so it's like, you gotta watch where you're going. You gotta, if you ever had to practice defensive driving, now's the time. I really want to get rid of my car and move to the country and just get away from people. I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that, but anyway, until such a time, do take care of yourselves and your friends and your family and your communities, and support your vulnerable communities. And just a couple weeks or a couple months ago, I was talking about doing like a hangout video where I just hang out with you. I think what I'm actually edging towards is a live stream. So if any of you out there would enjoy a live stream, I don't know how many people would actually tune in, but maybe I'll do that or give it a try, see how it goes. And maybe do like my thrifting haul as part of like a live stream or something. Maybe, I don't know. I still like the idea of like a hangout with you guys, but maybe it'll have to be a live stream, because I feel like that's what a live stream is. It's just kind of like hanging out, talking. You guys can ask questions or leave comments, and we can talk a bit. So that's an idea that's been on my mind recently. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see from my channel. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me vent a little bit. I hope you're doing well. The humidity is broken a little bit today. And actually, I had my bathroom windows open this morning, and I got a little cross breeze going, and it was. I don't want to rush summer, but I have seen some back to school ads. I have seen some mentions of what's the pumpkin spice lattes. I know, because I love fall, guys. It's my favorite season. I'm trying to enjoy the summer as much as I can, getting on my bike a little bit, but I know fall's coming, and I'm really excited. So yeah, that's it for today. Anyway, I'm in a pretty good mood despite all of the horse shit that's been going on out in the real world. But turn off the news, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, hang out with your friends, volunteer at a local community group, draw a piece of artwork and nail it to a telephone pole. I don't know. I don't know. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, perhaps I'll see you at the video store, if they still exist, or at the thrift store, or just out and about somewhere. But until next time, take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.